Young in Love.
Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of the Young in Love podcast. I'm super excited that you have tuned in today. On the previous episode of the Young in Love podcast, we talked about third-party attractions, how you deal with being attracted to another person when you're in a committed relationship. Could be your spouse, could be your boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever, right? If you haven't listened to that, I got a lot of good feedback. So if you haven't listened to that episode, please do so. On today's episode, we are going to be discussing abandonment issues. And something interesting is I didn't know that there was a name for this. It is the fatherless daughter syndrome. So in preparation for this episode, when I just tried to read and I saw that it had a name. So we're going to be discussing the impact of an absentee father on daughters and our romantic relationship. I'm not going to be doing this episode alone. I have a young, beautiful, what do you identify as?
You can say woman for the ease.
Okay.
I'm
lady.
a bit in between, but
okay. So on today's episode, I have a young, beautiful lady, and I think the inspiration behind this episode was a discussion we were having one random day like that, and we started talking about how we find that we are either clingy to our partners because we fear that they're going to leave us, or we've developed some sort of coping mechanism because we just feel, and that fear, when you do self-introspection, it's perhaps because my dad left, I feel every other person would leave. For me, I feel every other man would leave. Mm-hmm. Right. So you should introduce yourself before we.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, for the purpose of this podcast, I will use the name Emily. So that's who I am. And yeah, I, have experience with abandonment issues for sure. I found myself sort of doing that introspective work and realized, hey, maybe I'm acting a bit too clingy or too sort of intense in relationships. My relationships have also not always been the most stable. And I mean, to be clear, I didn't grow up without a father. But my father, especially as a child, was sort of emotionally absent.
Yeah,
both of my parents were. And then after they divorced, obviously, I was only raised by my mom. We would see my dad once every 2 weekends.
So it was shared custody?
Barely. I mean, we would only see him on the weekends, again, every 2 weeks. So they were in good terms and all. He just wasn't a presence in my life growing up, essentially.
At what age did your parents divorce?
I was probably 8, 9. Yeah, no, I was very young. That's why I don't even remember my father being too present in my life. Because even when we lived in the same house, as I said, he was sort of emotionally not there. We would do stuff in a way. He would try like we did. I have some good memories with him, but both of my parents were just emotionally.
So let's delve right into it. Mm-hmm. How would you describe your dating life? I mean, with your partners that you're involved with emotionally, and how would you describe it?
I would describe it as overwhelming, for sure. It wasn't always unstable. I had a couple unstable relationship and a couple very
How do you define stable relationship? Is it in terms of the duration, how long?
No, they were
how intense?
How intense and how sort of off and on, fighting, emotion. My last two were quite stable, very healthy for the most part. That's when I realized I was the problem. But before that, they were quite unstable, on and off, a lot of fighting, a lot of emotion involved, which can be good because you can think, oh, there's passion, but it's not healthy.
Yeah, but you said your last relationship made you realize that perhaps you were the problem. Yeah. How did you come to that realization? Did you feel like you were doing too much and you had to be the problem?
I was doing too much and it was affecting me too much mentally, was taking over everything because I couldn't think of anything else. I was acting out. I wasn't acting right.
Is that what made you feel like you were the problem? Because these things are I don't know, secondary emotions that stem from the primary one. So if you're having conflict with your partner, then you start to feel.
Yeah.
How did you come to realize that, wait, Emily, I'm the problem?
Because I'm not acting right. Like, I'm causing a scene out of nowhere. Like, I'm getting paranoid out of nowhere. No reason to feel that way. So I'm like, where does that come from? Why am I scared? Why do I always feel on my toes? Even though this person is being completely normal, nice to me, you know.
Yeah.
But the minimum thing, I would be like, why did you do that? Why are you not answering my text? Not even in like a jealous way, like, who are you? Like, luckily I'm not like that. But it could have been. It could have been. Like, it manifests in many ways. Like, it's good that I realized quickly that I was starting to become toxic, because I could have started to be like, who's that person you're talking to?
Yeah.
But it was more like, why are you not answering my text? Like, do you hate me? Like, do you want to leave me? Like, what's going on? And it's like, maybe this person is just busy. Like, calm down.
Yeah.
And so I constantly had a fight with myself, with like a rational side of chill and a side of no. This is a problem. Like, clearly this person is cheating. Clearly this person is like going to leave me. Clearly this person has found somebody better.
Constantly, you have to do this balancing check between your emotions and then logic. Because on one hand, you feel like, for me, I'm like, why is he not texting me back? Or why has he not called me yet? We'll usually speak about this time every day. And it's that time of the day and he's not calling. Why?
It would be the smallest thing even. I would be like, oh my God, you haven't texted I miss you in 3 days. You used to tell it to me every day. You know, these like dumb things, like the stupidest details. But it's because like the moment there's a little switch, you're like...
You feel it.
You notice every single detail. And it's so frustrating.
It's overwhelming sometimes.
It's overwhelming. It affects your whole day.
I used to say that I feel vibe, I feel the energy. When there's tension, when something has changed, when I sense it, maybe because I'm paying too much attention, but it's just there. I sense it. So I definitely relate with you on that. What kinds of partners do you see yourself getting attracted to? Because, you know, we're discussing absentee fathers. For me, from a very, very tender age, as far back as I can remember, I've always said I prefer older men. I have never dated any man that's within my age bracket. If you're my age mate, if you're younger than I am, if you're just 2, 3, 4 years older than I am, chances are that no matter how much, you know, maybe attracted to you I think I am, I would not give that relationship a chance, because I just feel that there's so much immaturity with maybe younger guys or guys that are my age. And that's not necessarily true, right? It's not. But this is just something in my head. And I prefer older men because low-key, I'm looking for a father in my lover, you know.
And that is very common, especially with, you know, men and women. My sort of sister has the same thing, really. And again, we grew up together. So same father, similar issues, similar abandonment issues. And so she also has that. Yeah. For me, not really. All my partners have been my age or like just a few months older. Always same year, always born in the same year.
Oh my God.
But the way their behavior, the thing that they all have in common is that they all were sort of emotionally not vulnerable, kind of like my dad.
Emily, listen, this is an interpretation I think we might be giving to our partners. Yeah. Because I also think the same thing, that my partner is not vulnerable with me. I feel like there should be times where I should see you at your weakest.
Exactly.
Just lean on me. Let me be that shoulder. Do you understand? Absolutely. But I'm not seeing that happen. And to hear you echo it now on this podcast, maybe, just maybe, this is a tag that we're giving our partners because we want to be emotionally vulnerable. So we expect the same from them. And our own emotional vulnerability might not be what is standard or healthy. Exactly. This is a response to this trauma that we have suffered in the past.
And that's why, I'm like, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe it's not them they're not vulnerable. Maybe it's me that I'm too vulnerable. Maybe it's too much.
Too much, yeah.
Sometimes you got to be a little stronger than that. Like, don't show every single weakness. But then I feel like the reason why I want them to be vulnerable is because I'm vulnerable.
Yes.
And so
reciprocate.
If you reciprocate, and also if you don't, you have more leverage on me, and you're going to leave and I'm going to be the broken one because I gave you everything. I gave you all my emotions and you gave me nothing. So
yeah.
You seems like you're about to leave because you're not showing the vulnerability. Yeah. So you have nothing to lose. You could leave at any moment.
And the way that I interpret it also is that the reason you're not vulnerable with me is maybe because you feel you cannot trust me enough to be that vulnerable, or you do not love me enough to be that vulnerable. And in my head, I'm constantly thinking, there might be someone out there that this person will eventually meet, and it will just open up himself to that person in a way that he can't with me.
Exactly.
And then again, that leads me back to the thinking that Kezia has to be the problem.
Exactly. You think, maybe it's me that you're not vulnerable to. Why? And then you're like, maybe because I'm too vulnerable, and you think you cannot lean on me because I've shown myself vulnerable time and time again.
Yeah.
And so you think I'm weak.
This is
eye-opening.
It is
eye-opening.
Because these are thoughts that I have by myself, just with myself, to myself. But to actually hear another person say the same thing is...
And that's it comes down to what we have in common in terms of like the way we were raised.
Yeah.
And my sister, again, could tell you the same thing. So it's like, clearly there's like a pattern. And some of my friends who also have the similar issues with their father, both boys and girls, also boys, like they get affected a lot by not growing up with a father.
Although we're not like really exploring that.
Yeah, but either way, they all have the same sort of fear.
Maybe it will manifest in a different
way, maybe.
Yeah. We're going to talk about insecurities now. Do you have insecurities? Right. I know you've mentioned that, fear of this person is going to leave. What other insecurities do you have? Like, do you have them? And then how do you deal with them? Especially the fear of being abandoned, like that fear of being left.
I mean, who doesn't have insecurities? Like,
I feel like there are people who are like super secure.
Good for them. I mean, I have the typical, as every sort of woman has, like physical insecurities of like, one day you feel not thin enough, one day you feel like, not pretty enough, whatever. I think in relationships, insecurities, it's not that I feel like because I've been in relationships and always mostly broken up with and stuff, I just feel like I'm just not that special, like just kind of easily replaceable, like just kind of like eh. And so how I cope with that fear of abandonment is doing the most. So I will like shower you with like everything you need. You love something, I will learn every single detail of the thing you love so you can talk to me about it. You've never done something, I will take you to do it. I will do the most.
That's like compensating for that fear.
Yeah. Because it's then if I do all these things, like I'm a catch. Like, why would you leave? I gave you everything. The problem that I have is that I do all these things. But then I think one toxic trait of mine is that I do see it as very transactional. So I've done all these things for you. What are you doing for me? And it's like, this person didn't ask. So why would you have to expect to, like, the person, like, you should be doing things out of love. Yeah. Not because you expect something back. So I know that it's sort of like a negative trait of mine. Again, I'm the problem that I'm trying to work on, because I've been told also by, family and stuff that is not a healthy way to live a relationship, even with anybody, even with friends. But with friends, I'm less so like that. With my friends, I'm very like giving. I'll be like, don't worry. But with relationships, I kind of always expect that little bit of...
Yeah, but I don't think it's wrong to expect to be treated right in a relationship.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean...
It's maybe we're just being too specific about what is right.
Yeah. No, you have to be
the relationship
treated right. Because, don't be treated like trash. I've also been treated like trash, so it's more like I do the most.
What do you mean you've been treated like trash?
I have been... When I was in end of high school, beginning of university, in a like very abusive relationship. And that also affected.
Like verbally abusive?
It was verbally, emotionally, and it got to physically as well. So that was, and that was also the abandonment issues, because anybody in the right mind, I mean, although a lot of people struggle, but a lot of people would think, leave. Mm-hmm. But I was so scared to be left and be alone that I accepted that, even though that was terrible, because I was getting nothing out of it. I was just getting berated, insulted, always told that I was wrong, And
you were hit?
And I was hit once, yes. I was hit as well. Yeah. And I forgave that. Can you imagine? Like, well,
That's crazy.
Exactly. No, I know.
With me, the opposite is true. I know that I'm a catch, and I don't feel like I have to empty myself to prove that. Because in my head, the basics, like, I would not cheat on you, first and foremost.
Yeah,
I will set healthy boundaries with others, especially guys. And so I don't feel like I have to do too much. But you see, the issue of leaving, I feel like this is where mine manifests. Like, I will leave.
Okay, so
I won't think twice, because the way I'm processing it is, I've seen women struggle to leave abusive relationships. Oh, I'm staying for the children. Yeah. Oh, I'm staying this, or what will people say? They're going to laugh at me. And sometimes I wish, in my own case, I wish these women left.
Yeah.
Because I'm grown now, and I'm thinking, your life and my life would have been way better if you had taken this decision much earlier.
Of course.
So the way that it has translated for me is that I will leave.
Yeah.
And sometimes I try to slow myself down, because jumping out is not always the best.
No.
There's no relationship that does not have issues. So where I struggle is drawing the line. How do I know that this is an obvious red flag that I must walk away from? How can I tell that, okay, Kezia, you're doing too much.
Yeah.
Like, there's not much of a problem. You can talk this out. You can resolve it. All my past relationships, I broke up. I was the one leaving.
Okay. You were
It was just one, the very last relationship where the person left.
Okay.
Right. So I've been the one leaving. And again, as daughters, we don't always have to manifest these symptoms, this fatherless daughter, what they call it, syndrome or something, in the same way. It's shows in, I don't know.
In many different ways.
In many different ways. So, what are the most common triggers for these insecurities? Like, what is the one thing, or what are the things that you find your partner doing that immediately feels like, oh my God, this is giving me my daddy vibes?
Yeah, as I said, like the sudden change of behavior that could easily be put down to oh, today is just a bad day, or I'm tired. But I'm like, no, you just don't love me anymore. Like, clearly, because yesterday you used to act right, and today you haven't looked at me.
Yesterday you were even more tired, but you talked with me. Today you had.
I mean, I had a crazy moment, and I'm super embarrassed too. It's one of the most embarrassing things I've ever done. But I was in bed with my partner, and they were asleep, and I was like, and they weren't cuddling me, and I cried myself to sleep.
Because you were not cuddled.
Yeah, they were unconscious, asleep. And I was like, oh my God, you don't love me anymore because you're not cuddling me while you're asleep. Can you believe how
No, but why didn't you cuddle me before going to sleep?
No, that happened. That's the issue.
Okay.
But at some point you turn around, you're asleep, you don't know what you do. And I cried. I went to the other room and cried. And I was like, this is it. It's over. It's ending. I can tell.
But that wasn't the case.
Well, no, not at the time at least. But I mean, I'm like, that's crazy. That's crazy behavior. What is wrong with you? I took a long, hard look in the mirror. I'm like, you're acting crazy. You need help. And I'm like, yeah, no.
So crying is something you do a lot. I mean,
yes, all the time.
Yeah, I cry a lot too. And I make sure nobody sees me.
Yeah. I'll try not to, at least. But I cannot also process emotions without crying. So especially with my parents, I cannot talk to them without bursting out crying because they were emotionally unavailable. So then I was never taught to say my emotions, express my emotions. So then I don't know how to now without crying. And that's apparently like an inner child thing. That's your inner child.
Yeah.
Trying to express emotion the only way a child knows how, which is crying.
I feel you.
So, and I be crying for dumb shit. Like,
sometimes,
pardon my French.
Sometimes I cry for made up stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
It hasn't happened.
It has not happened.
I'm making up the thoughts in my head and I'm crying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All the time.
There's a word for this.
It's we are being delusional. Delulu, as they say online on TikTok. We're being delulu. But I start crying. And it's not happened. It's not real. It's made up. It's made up, but you cry. Like, that's not okay.
This is crazy.
But that's what, it's unfortunately, it is a result of how you were sort of raised and stuff. Because not everybody, I feel like people who had healthy relations with their parents do not do this.
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't know. Because
I don't know many people. That's true.
Yeah. So, but why do you think your father left?
I mean... Why do I? My parents divorced, so that's an easy one. They had to not live together. He didn't really want kids to begin with. Mm-hmm. My mom did. So he was not as invested because that's not something that he really wanted. And I don't blame him for that. He didn't want kids. Like, I personally right now at least don't want kids. So if you, pulled up with a child, I'd be like, I don't know what to do with it. So, but they still had four. Weird dynamic, yeah. But he did not. So he was, again, like, not fully there.
So he left after the 4?
Yeah, after the 4. Mm-hmm. He was not fully there. Like, he tried, but it's just like, somebody who's just not invested. And then eventually, especially after the divorce, he was like, well, now you're with your mom anyway, and we would see each other. And it's like, Then, I also left the country, so we were, like, physically sort of even distant. He never had a say in anything. If my mom chose something, that was what was going to happen. Like, he didn't have a say. And at the end of the day, like, it's not like he tried to have a say either, So it was like, okay, but you're still my parent. Like, you're still my dad. And it's, like, not that interested in the end, which is fine. Because personally, I was so young that I don't feel like it affected me, obviously, but it's so, like, inside, it's so almost subconscious that I don't realize the way that maybe my sister who was older feels it. But yeah, it's just, I think he just didn't have that great interest in having kids.
Yeah. So, but you have brothers?
Yes, male brothers. And
2
male brothers.
Okay. The reason I ask is if you were to ask me the same question, I have no answers. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know why.
Yeah. And that's usually the case, especially for those who just, like, leave. Just, like, deadbeat.
Yeah. I don't know why. I can't say divorce because in this case, not necessarily. Mm-hmm. I can't say why. Mm-hmm. And this is the closure that we have been seeking for years. Mm-hmm. This is why if a relationship ends, especially the last one where it's ended without me really knowing why, it hurts on another level because you want closure. Why did it happen? Was
Absolutely.
it me? Was it why? What? Why? But in life, you will not always get closure.
Yeah, I know. I've always been one to seek closure in my relationships, and it's been a couple times that I never did, and it eats me inside. Like, I can never forget it.
If I have closure, if I know why, it's easier to move on.
Yeah.
It's easier to cope.
Yeah.
But when you don't know why, it's another level of pain.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's like relieving that pain
trauma.
Exactly all over again. So you will find me from time to time asking, for me, it's like auditing my relationship. Like, do you still want to be here?
Yeah. I also do. It's like,
are you here for me? Are you tired? Are you?
Yeah.
Let me know, please. I would say it, like, at whatever point you change your mind, please
just say
let
it.
me exactly. Just say it.
That's what I
don't walk away. Don't
or don't cheat. It's like, you find somebody else attractive, just tell me. Like, go, it's fine. Just say it, please.
Just be honest.
For the love of God, like, don't waste my time. Don't waste your time.
Exactly.
It's not that hard. I feel, but
maybe it's hard for normal people, but it's not hard for us because maybe we think this is what we are going to do, especially given where we're coming from.
Yeah.
But I find myself doing that a lot.
Oh, yeah. Asking for reassurance. That's the coping mechanism.
Emily used the word reassurance. I was coming to that.
Okay.
Reassurance.
Keyword of the
What does
day.
this mean to you?
Reassurance for me means, again, sort of unfortunately in a way, and being reminded constantly, almost to a fault of, say, yeah, do you still love me? Do you still want to be with me? Yes. Even just a yes is fine. Like, even when I'm having those thoughts that make me cry that are delusional, and I'm like, like I'm working on saying it out loud because it helps for me to be like, today I thought you seemed less interested, last date, are things okay? And then if my partner is like, we're good. Like, I'm sorry if you felt that way. Maybe it was this, maybe it was that. And then I'm like, okay, we good. And for 2 days, I'm good. And then it starts again.
It's as easy as that. Right?
It's as easy as that, but it's so like up and down,
Where I'm coming from is there are actually people that don't realize that it's that easy.
It is.
And for me, I don't know, I don't want to have to ask for reassurance.
That's true.
The thing is, I don't come asking, reassure me now that it manifests in different ways. So if I'm maybe feeling jealous about something or someone, or if I feel like, we haven't really talked, in a while or for the day or something. And then I start to feel that way and I bring it up to you. I'm like, you didn't call me, for so and so, or you haven't called me in a while, or this. I don't want you going, where is that coming from?
Yeah.
Why you do that? Why?
Yeah.
No, then it would just aggravate the situation.
Exactly. No.
But if I'm asking these questions and I'm saying, oh, you haven't, it's not because I'm accusing you. I'm not saying you were with someone else or you were talking with someone else. This is a perfect opportunity to reassure you. Oh, no. You're always on my mind, but I was super busy and I apologize that I didn't, keep in touch.
Yeah.
Have you, I miss you, or I love you, or I'm always thinking about you. This thing works like a fire extinguisher.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I differentiate my toxic to my healthy relationships. Because in my healthy relationships, when I ask for reassurance, that's what I would get. I would get actual reassurance. I wouldn't get where's that coming from? Despite how annoying I was speaking about it, I would always get no, everything's good. But in my toxic ones, I would get oh my God, what is that coming from? You're being so annoying. Yeah. And would just be like
clingy.
Yeah, it would just be more conflict. Well, luckily in the healthy ones, I have gotten that reassurance. But I would still feel bad about asking because I'm like, I know I'm being annoying because you low key. Then my last partner was like, I just didn't feel like enough because nothing I did was ever enough because you kept on wanting more, and I just like, isn't what I do enough for you to trust me that I care about you? And I'm like, and it broke my heart because it's like, yeah, no, it's not you. It's me, man.
Emily, listen.
It's me.
I've been told this before, that I'm not enough for a partner, and in that moment, I knew there was nothing else I should be saying, like, yeah, but this person needed, the way we want reassurance. Our partners need reassurance too, especially because of how we are, demanding. And so when this person said that to me, like, I'm not enough, I'm like, no, you're a good man.
Yeah.
I know you're a good man.
Yeah.
I do have issues and everything, but please never for a second think that you're not enough, or you're not this, or you're not that. All of these other issues that I raise, I just wish they could be fixed. But because, there's a way you constantly complain about your partner and then they start to feel inadequate.
Yeah, exactly. And then you cause them trauma because you made them feel
like they're not enough.
Or they're not enough.
When I did that, I understood in that moment that what I was doing was was reassuring my partner. So that's reassurance that I crave sometimes as well, that I feel like I never get.
Yeah.
So God help us.
Honestly.
God help us. Okay. So given the discussion that we've had so far, right? What are some of the coping mechanisms that you've had to adopt to deal with these issues that you know you have, that we know we have?
Yeah.
How have you coped?
I mean, none that have worked so far. So I've like good coping mechanisms as a suggestion for people, or bad ones not to do.
Yeah, anyone, good and bad.
Okay, because I think so far mine have mostly been bad. There's a couple good ones, but mostly bad ones that haven't worked, which were, becoming cold. So then it's kind of like, oh, I don't care. So I'm not gonna be dramatic, because actually I could leave at any moment. Just kind of like do the opposite, which is very...
In those times where you did not care, was it because you truly did not care, or you told yourself that I do not care?
Yeah, I would tell myself. It was a complete lie.
Okay.
Even I didn't really believe it. There was a lot of just acting out behavior, or like self-destructive behavior, not to think about all those paranoias.
It's self-destructive.
And, drinking too much, like going out, even, just not acting right. And one good coping mechanism for me has been journaling, writing my thoughts down, because as I write, I basically reason with myself, and then I see it written down, and I, the more I write, the more I'm like, actually, now
you become more rational when you write.
Or, if you see something that upset you, step away, like think about it for a solid at least 10 minutes and really think, is this, is my head lying to me? It is hard. I've failed at that multiple times, but I'm trying to like step away. Don't answer text immediately. If a text you can tell is triggering you, don't answer it immediately. Like put it away. Truly think about it, like the bigger picture. And then consider if it's really worth, asking for reassurance, if it's really worth like causing a scene, so to speak. But again, that's super hard when you have very overwhelming emotions. Like I've done that, but I have failed at that many times.
For me, I attack it there, like in the moment, on the spot. I feel this is how I breathe. Otherwise, I would have imploded a long time ago. So when it happens, the only time I exercise self-restraint is when I'm at work or church. But at home or my friendships, my relationship, when it happens in that moment, even with family, we say it, and this is how we are.
Yeah.
Me, my sibling, my mom, as it happens, Nigerians, we say, as it they hot. In that moment, we address it. And maybe this is not the best way, because sometimes you're clouded with emotions, and so you're speaking from a place of anger or fear or, whatever emotions you feel in that moment. But on the other hand, I feel like if I keep it in, oh my God, it will eat me up. I won't be normal.
Yeah.
I won't relate or interact with you as I should.
Exactly.
Because something is eating me up.
That's another way that I would do, is I would just shut down. I would become incredibly just like shut down, and it would be like, okay, what's wrong? Like clearly something wrong. And I'd just be like, like I just like stop talking, just completely like a block of ice. And that's something that I've been told by my previous partner, like something we need to work on, because I can't do anything when you shut down. I ask you what's wrong, and you wouldn't even give me an answer. And
say nothing, I'm fine.
And exactly.
But you're obviously not acting fine.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I would hear every time. Like, but you're not. And it's like, I'm good. Like, let's not. And so during those times, for example, we had this thing where I would say, okay, I'm not fine, but if I cannot get into it right now because I need still some time to process it, I will tell you in a little bit, but at least you're aware that something has triggered me. And that was a good step forward. So, that could be a way. But yeah, it's tough to find coping mechanism on your own. That's why now I'm starting a journey of getting better. Through therapy and stuff.
For therapy. I think maybe I will ask you about that, because I'm considering therapy myself. And I've been asking if it's also a good idea to do therapy with your partner. Partner is not the person who's damaged. It's me, but maybe it's better, especially if we're thinking long term. It's better if we do this together. Maybe it will help this person understand more underlying issues. I don't know. I've never been to therapy before, but it's definitely something I'm considering. The way that I cope, for me, first and foremost, I'm a lover girl. I love love. I always say it. And this is why we even have the Young in Love podcast in the first place. I love love. I will always choose love. I will always stand for love and all of that. So I've never really found myself detaching as a way to cope. Like telling myself that this does not matter. Because I know I am prone to be like that. Somehow it just makes me fling to the other end of the spectrum where, I'm attached, I'm here, I'm loyal, I'm talking to just you, I see only you, I'm all in. This thing they say in Nigeria, like, as a girl, you're supposed to play hard to get. You're not supposed to chase after a man. You're not supposed to do. If I like you, that's all it takes.
Yeah.
I will chase after you.
Okay.
I will let you know that I like you. I love you.
Like, you'll find out. I don't need to hide it.
You will find out. I will say it. I will act it. Because, hey, I'm all here. I know I am prone to detach as a way to cope. So I will not do that. I will be the opposite of that. So I've never really found myself, detaching. The way that I cope, another way that I cope is I listen to, maybe I choose the people that I listen to. Because you have so many motivational speakers these days. Girl, if your man is not doing it, leave. You deserve better. Come on.
Yeah. It's too extreme on both.
Yeah. I choose the people that I listen to. I choose people that I feel have chosen love.
Okay.
That's
fair.
If I see that a person has chosen love, is not out there to... Some people, the first advice they give you if you come with any form of conflict to them is, girl, leave.
Yeah.
Leave. So, but there are people that always try to mediate. How can we fix this? How can we do it? So I listen to those kinds of people and it helps me. I don't know. Ultimately, the one person that I talk to in a way that I've never spoken to any human before. Never seen him, but I feel him, is God.
Fair.
I will stay on my bed. I will cry and I'll say, God, please. I do not want affliction to arise a second time.
Yeah.
If I'm going to have kids, I don't want them to go through. And the worst part for us is that the pain or the burden that we bear is not visible. People can't see it, but it's a burden in the chest. It's a heaviness that starts to manifest in 1,000 ways. So people sometimes, if you don't have an understanding partner, then they can't understand the struggle. It's like you're crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're not crazy. You feel it's a complex...
You're hurt.
Spectrum of emotions.
Yeah, you're hurt. And hurt people hurt people.
Hurt people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. That's true. And I don't want to be that because you know that. I mean, I turned out fine when it comes to career, just not being a social menace. I turned out fine.
Yeah.
But I know I'm not fine, like 100 on the inside. Yes.
Yeah.
I know I'm not. And God help me, as you said, working towards it. Healing is something we should be responsible for.
Yeah.
That's not a burden we can 100 place on our partners. It has to first start with us.
With you.
But then again, an understanding partner can aid
absolutely
the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've come to realize that healing is not a destination. It's a journey.
Completely.
10, 15 years from now, some of those triggers and all those things will still be there, which is why the partner has to be willing to go on that journey with you.
Yeah. It's just rare sometimes to find somebody who's willing to do that, especially at this day and age. People just want a simple package, golden relationship. And it's like, no, everybody has their struggles. Like, everybody grew up a certain way, has had certain parents, and you got to be willing to go through the difficult things together as well. If you're meant to be together.
Okay. Before we finally go, how would you like your partner to... Because now we're talking about a partner who's willing to go on that journey with you. How would you like your partner to interact with you? Given the insecurities that you've had or that you have, describe, or just in few words or sentences, how would you want your partner to interact with you? What are those behaviors that your partner would exhibit that can help your healing? Reassure you that this person is here to stay. What are those things that can foster trust? On your part?
I think, with me having done a deal where I've healed or I'm better, reassurance with with words, again, sort of doing things, listening.
Reassurance with words, one.
Yeah.
Listening.
So if I tell you, hey, this means a lot to me, you will maybe later on show it to me by doing that thing that means a lot to me, or, also being accepting of the love I give. So, if I write a thing for you, or if I'm texting a lot, just be aware of that I'm giving something and be thankful for it. And I will do the same. Being honest, as I said.
Be honest.
If you want to, be honest for sure. If you want to leave, be honest. Let's not run around in circles. Let's not cheat.
If you're tired of the relationship, speak out, speak up, be honest, don't play games.
Yeah. If you want to work it out, tell me, I'm struggling right now to find a spark. Maybe, it's been a lot of years, but I want to work it out. Or say, I think this is going nowhere. I want to leave. Plain and simple. So I don't stay there being paranoid.
Yeah.
And as you said, don't
seeking closure.
Exactly. And as you said, the last one is don't. If I come asking for reassurance, don't come back to me with anger or...
Where's that coming from?
Yeah, or, fear. Because then I feel like you have something to hide. Because, why are you being defensive?
Why are you being defensive?
It's I'm asking for reassurance. If you ask for reassurance, I would be nice. Why are you not being nice? So that would be it. But I was lucky enough to have most of these in the most healthier relationships. So I kind of know what I need, but it's time for me to work on myself, because clearly those things that I feel like I need have not been enough. So I know that now it has to come from within, first and foremost.
Exactly.
And then that will come to, and it will work.
Totally agree. If you could say something to your father or to absentee fathers in general, or to intending fathers, because I met was it a colleague when I was in Nigeria or so on, had a daughter and we were just conversing and stuff. I said, listen, no matter how angry you get at your wife, no matter the conflict, always be in your children's lives, especially your daughter, be in their life.
Absolutely.
Because the struggles that I've had to go through, I'm not even talking, physical struggles are there, don't get me wrong. But I mean the internal struggles, the ones that nobody sees, nobody knows about. It's just that heaviness in your chest, constantly eating you up daily. This is not something I wish on anyone. So,
to my father, me and him talk. But
one word for him.
We don't talk. We don't talk emotionally. So if I could say honestly, emotionally, I would say I just wish you had been there when it really mattered. So when I was growing up, because now I'm 24, I'm my own person. It's not that I don't need that. I appreciate it, but it's a part of me that will always be hurt, and I hope you can live with that. Again, I don't wish him anything bad, but just know that you have hurt me, and it is what it is now.
And all your siblings as well.
Yeah. I forgive you, but you did do this. And I just wish you had been different at the time.
Yep.
And for fathers, especially intending fathers, be there for your kid. Especially your girls. I understand it's harder to relate to your daughters than to your son. Because sons, I don't know, you play sports, do whatever guys do. I don't know. But be there for your daughters emotionally. Ask your daughter how she is. Ask how she's doing. If she's getting in a relationship, don't be jealous about it, but also be there if you can see that she's hurt. Give your daughter advice. You're an adult. Share some wisdom, but without being judgmental. Let your daughters make mistakes and, go through their lives, but be there for them emotionally.
Yeah.
Especially adolescents. I know we're annoying as fuck when we're, teenagers. I get it. I was a nightmare. But you brought me into this earth. You need to know. You've been a teenager. You know how annoying it is. Be there for me through that annoying period of life that eventually ends.
Yeah.
And just like, you wanted me, now you have to take care of me emotionally, not just physically, not just shelter, food. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
But ask me how I am, care about me, care about my life, the things I like. It's pretty simple to me, but, apparently, especially fathers, it's just kind of like, yeah, it's time for me to go. Like, okay.
So to fathers, if you're a father listening and you're currently an absentee dad, now I know that some of you want to be in the lives of your daughters, but they have mothers who are intentionally, willfully keeping your kids away from you. And this is not to accuse or blame. Perhaps ask yourself, why? Right? And then for the ones who give you access, if you have access to your children, make the most of the access that you have. Let's say you have shared custody or whatever it is, just be in the lives of your children, especially your daughters. I'm not saying abandon sons, but
no.
seeing as I'm not a man, I can't speak, right?
Yeah.
From a guy's perspective, but be in the life of your daughters. And then for ladies who are listening, perhaps you can relate with one or two things we have said on this particular episode. And you grew up without a father. And let's rule out the ones who grew up without a father because they lost their father.
Yeah, that's obviously different.
To the cold hands of death. That's somewhat different. Even research has shown that it's not the same, exactly the same. Absentee fathers, those ones that are alive, who have a choice, who could have been in your life but chose not to be for whatever reason. Perhaps you're listening and you can relate to something we have said and you've been wondering, why am I this way? Why am I? And you grew up without a father. You're not alone. In fact, scientists have a name for what we experience. It's called fatherless daughter syndrome. Go check it out. It's a thing. You're not alone. If you feel like you're struggling so much, just like Emily has done, you can go to therapy and talk it out. Right. This is something I'm personally considering. I've heard it's expensive. I don't know, but
it can be. It definitely can be.
I will look into it. And if your partner is willing to go with you, perfect, and take it easy. Don't put that baggage, don't put that burden on your partner, because the healing has to first start with you as an individual. And as I said earlier, like, maybe seek help. That's therapy, I think. Yeah. There are support groups as well. That's not necessarily therapy, but it's therapeutic. Yeah. If you can join like a support group where you talk about these things. And again, I feel like you should know what is healthy, what's not healthy, because there's a tendency for us to think that everything we're demanding for in a relationship, we are doing it too much. But sometimes what you're asking for is what even people that have not been hurt also ask for. Like, it's healthy. And this is the struggle that we would always have. Finding that balance. Am I doing too much? Or is this normal? Maybe you're not asking for too much, or maybe you are. You have to find that balance for yourself and by yourself. Do you have any last words? Perhaps I missed something. Any additional words you'd like to add before we go?
I think just going off of what you said, I think with therapy, or talk to your friends and, ask, am I being too much? With therapy, you can also, your therapist will allow you to speak and say what you say or what you feel. And then they might be like, hey, maybe, they won't judge you or your therapist, but they will kind of let you know, hey, this is healthy, this is unhealthy. Because some demands, as you said, are healthy. Like, don't take the bare minimum, don't take nothing, and don't take abuse. Always remember that, especially abuse. Leave a man if he abuses you. Leave anyone if they abuse you. And yeah, but don't be too hard on yourself. It's a journey.
It's a journey.
And
exactly.
Especially if you've been hurt, just remember that it takes time to heal.
Takes time. Okay. Thank you so much, Emily, for being on this episode. I will quickly read some of these things that I found super interesting. This one is from Beat Anxiety, Feel to Heal. And you can, I think, find this information on beatanxiety.me. Like to beat, literally beat something. B-E-A-T, beat. It says the absence of a father's consistent presence can lead to feelings of abandonment, rejection, and low self-worth. Fatherless daughters may struggle with their identity, struggle with trust and intimacy, as well as the absence of a positive male role model. However, it is important to remember that healing and growth are possible. This is from the British Psychology Society. It says much evidence suggests that father absence shifts daughters toward accelerated development. This one I can personally relate because it feels like I started struggling for things for myself too early. I didn't have the opportunity to just be a girl.
Yeah, just be a kid.
A kid, like a girl child. Just be carefree. I started having to plan, save, spend, take care of myself too early, toward accelerated development, sexuality, and reproduction. For instance, researchers have repeatedly demonstrated that early paternal investment is an important determinant of pubertal timing, with daughters of less involved fathers experiencing earlier menarche relative to girls growing up with more involved fathers. They're basically saying we hit puberty earlier. I don't know.
Essentially.
That was my case as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I started quite early as well.
Yeah. Moreover, father-absent girls display a host of outcomes often experienced by early developing girls, including increased sexual promiscuity, higher rates of teen pregnancy, earlier first sexual intercourse and reproduction, and difficulty forming stable long-term relationships, with the most pronounced effects being observed for girls whose fathers were absent from an early age. It's quite an interesting read. So if you want to read this article, it's not just an article, it's research. You can see all the names of the scientists and the psychologists and the year they conducted the research and everything. Super interesting. If you want to read it, you can visit the website of the British Psychology Society for more information. So if you're a guy or a lady and you find yourself in a relationship with someone who exhibits some of these symptoms, perhaps dig deeper into their childhood. They are maybe presenting with these symptoms because they've had to deal with the absence of a father or even a mother, or there are just some childhood traumas that haven't been addressed. So this is the way they are coping. Don't dismiss concerns from your partners when, they come. Like, oh, this person is being too clingy. Oh, this person is... Talk with them. Don't be defensive, right? Open that conversation, that window. See, perhaps your partner is struggling and you want to be that understanding person for them. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. And if you have, please don't forget to share this with your family, with your friends, with your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, your enemies as well. Just share with, anyone you think would find this episode insightful or helpful to them. And please engage with us on our Instagram page at younginlove_podcast. We want to see your comments. We want to everything. And then if you want to support, I'm an independent podcaster. If you want to support, visit patreon.com/younginlove and make a small monthly donation. Now, until the next episode, bye and be good. Emily, say bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Young in love.